You are our holiday author for this evening, so we really appreciate you coming in a couple of days before Christmas. Thank you so much for giving us your time. To get us started, Michelle, do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got started writing?
You bet. And thank you so much for having me right before Christmas. And I loved listening into all the name game things. And I'm the ice barbarians. I've got it written down. I've got the sangria recipe. I'm ready to go here.
I love it
for my Christmas binging. So I'm Michelle. I live in Colorado, although I grew up in Ohio, and I feel like unlike a lot of romance authors, I came to romance, I feel like late. I didn't steal my grandmother's Harlequins when I was younger, although I feel like now if my grandmother, I wish she would have known about Harlequins because she helped raise me and we spent so much time watching Another World and Days of Our Lives, and I think she would have loved reading romance, but it just
absolutely.
So but I was always a writer, and I studied journalism in college, but then worked in human resources, and I worked for a company that went bankrupt, and I was having to fly all over the country and lay people off, which is a terrible job. It's a terrible job. And I developed this huge fear of flying. It was really hard to even get on a plane, and just randomly in the Denver airport, I picked up a Joanna Lindsay novel from the bookstore, and the flight was easy. I didn't notice turbulence, nothing. I was completely hooked. And then I went on to the Bridgerton series. That's when I think my first one was Benedict's An Offer from a Gentleman. And I loved reading it. And I thought, oh my God, these are the stories I have in my head. This is what I want to do. And so it took a little while, because then, I had kids who never slept, and I had a regular day job. But when my daughter, who's now a senior in high school, was in kindergarten, I got my first book contract with Harlequin Special Edition and was kind of off to the races from there. So,
oh my gosh, it's incredible. So what from learning that you were a fan of romance and sitting in the airplane reading that book to actually deciding that you wanted to write it, what made you decide? What was sort of that aha moment for you?
I think I'd always thought of myself as a writer. I loved writing, but I just never, I went to college and read, which were great, the classics and literary fiction. And at that point, Oprah's book club was a really big thing. And I read all these sad stories. And I didn't have those stories in my brain, but I had always falling asleep. I had always kind of made up little things in my head. And it was like that light bulb, you could see the light bulb above my head go, oh my God, this is what I was meant to do. And I started because historical fiction was my first love, and it's still kind of what I go back to, my candy to read. And so I tried doing that, but the details of it and the social custom, I loved reading it, but it wasn't a fit for how I wanted to research and my voice. And then it was, I read the Susan Elizabeth Phillips, the Chicago Stars series. And I was like, oh, this is it. I want to be a contemporary romance author. So
I love that so much. Well, and I would imagine as a historical author, it would be the hardest thing to pull myself out of the research, I would just want to sit and read that all day long and just watch documentaries and then be like, oh, I have to write now. No, thank you.
Right. And I think for me as the parts that I love and you didn't ask this question, but when I start a book, my process is I start with the characters and the emotion and kind of building the world from there. So then, like that's the part that comes so naturally to me. And then it's like, okay, what is their career, and doing all the research on that. So everything that it would take for the historical romance, that was a little more than my focus could handle at that point.
Well, and I love that you brought up kind of how your characters come to you. Do you hear them or see them, or do the like stories kind of pop up in front of you like a scene from a movie?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I'm pretty visual, so I can, and that can be frustrating because I can see it. And I'm sorry, I'm a hand talker.
Same.
Sorry,
Yeah, let's do it.
I didn't get my hands out of the screen, but I can see it in my head. I can hear it. A lot of times the dialogue comes to me first, or the emotion of a scene, and then it's like trying to take what feels so perfect in my head and translate it onto the page.
I love that. Well, let's jump a little bit into what inspired your Carolina Girls series, because The Wish List is the fourth in the series. And I'd love for you to talk about creating these characters and building this world, and then also jump into their holiday story.
Yeah, you bet. So yes, as you said, The Wish List, which you have up behind you and I appreciate, is the fourth in the Carolina Girls series. And the Carolina Girls is actually a spin-off of a series that started in the town of Magnolia, North Carolina, the Magnolia Sisters. And I loved writing. After the Magnolia Sisters, there were 3 books in that series. We were wrapping that up. I loved writing in the world. My editor loved it. The powers that be at Harlequin loved it. The readers seemed to really enjoy it. And so the Carolina Girls allowed me to expand that world. And the Wish List is really special to me because it's the first book that I've done where I have 3 female protagonists with each having a separate point of view and storyline in the same book. So previously, I've kind of done the traditional hero and heroine point of view. But for this one, we just wanted something a little bit bigger. And the story, so The Wish List, there are 3 sisters, Beth, Freya, and Trinity Carlisle, who are estranged from their mother, who is a famous author. And their mother, May, has a stroke right before Thanksgiving. And they're estranged from her. They're estranged from each other because of things that happened when they grew up. So they all come back to town, to Magnolia, to kind of help their mother. Beth has just gotten divorced. Freya is having career issues. Trinity is pregnant and leaving an abusive relationship. So all of them have these big stories, but by giving them each a point of view in the same book, I felt like it allowed me to not only give them each a romance, which I love and is super fun, but to go really deep into the sister story and kind of what makes their family tick. So it was a fun book to write.
Yeah, and it has to be so, like, I don't know, just so fun, the complexity of exploring a family through 3 different sisters, and they're sort of grappling with the relationship that they're struggling with each other. Like, a lot of these times with these books, we see the sisters are friendly, or they have some sort of connection outside of that, but everybody's trying to repair these wounds that are so deep.
Right. Yeah. And I think it lends itself to the holidays as well, because I think around this time of year, I know I have family in town, and I also have my college son home from town. So it's like really positive things, and then, a lot of triggering things too. So, but I think, to me, I've written a number of Christmas and holiday romances. And there's something really so magical about them because there's so many opportunities to, put in little traditions or scenes that so many of us can relate to from, our childhood or what we, want to make in our lives right now. So, yeah, it was fun to explore in that way.
I love that. Well, and you set up my next question perfectly. Staying in the holiday spirit is that you do have a nice backlist of holiday releases, but you also have another holiday release out right now, Starlight and the Christmas Dare. I'd love for you to tell us about that and kind of compare the two of them.
Yeah, so Starlight and the Christmas Dare is I think the fifth or sixth book in my Welcome to Starlight series with special edition and Harlequin. And it is a little bit of a we're talking about the grumpy sunshine.
Yep.
It's almost a kind of reverse grumpy sunshine where the heroine is very, very grumpy in this one. And she is a chef in the town, but she's got a pretty hard shell, so she doesn't like to let people in, but she is doing volunteer work in Seattle and meets this girl who does kind of come through her defenses. And when that girl has lost her parents when her stepbrother is injured in an accident, she ends up taking them in back to Starlight. And it was, that part was fun because then it was the hero and his sister doing the, let's go get a tree. She had to go borrow decorations from her friends because she doesn't do Christmas. So I love writing both the bigger books and the series length books because the bigger ones, it's such an opportunity to explore the relationships and the bigger community. And then typically my writing schedule, I go from writing, a single title to a series book, and then I get to really zoom in on the couple. And so it's just it's kind of fun, and it keeps it fresh for me in writing to go back and forth.
I love that. I love that you still enjoy doing that too, of getting to, really stretch that writing muscle.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a job is a job, and there are a lot of days when I'm like, oh my God, I can't, I don't have anything left. There's nothing in
there anymore.
I know. Oh my God, I used it all. But I still am aware every single day that, I am made a career out of what is my dream job, and how lucky, I am to have that, and how much I appreciate readers and the romance community, because it's, I don't think outside of it, I have a lot of friends who read my book, but not a lot of other romance. I don't think people outside of it understand how special this community is.
Absolutely. I totally agree. So when you're writing these books, clearly they're coming out at Christmas time, but they're not written at Christmas time. How do you get into the Christmas spirit when it is, the middle of July?
So I do a lot of music. I have certain playlists that I use. And then I have, if anybody remembers, the very 70s thing, I have it's the white ceramic Christmas tree, and it has like a little bulb, and you put it over it and little lights. I have that. It was one of my grandmother's trees, and I keep that out in my office, and I plug it in every day. And that's kind of my brain thing. That's my my nod to Christmas that I keep going. So, but typically I'm writing, so I will start my next Christmas book the first part of January. So it's like I put away all the Christmas stuff. But then it's kind of fun because, there are a lot of things about the holiday season that, you don't get to control, like the weather and,
Mhm.
how certain people act, but I control everything in the book. So I keep myself in the spirit that way.
I love that so much. It's so true. It's like I get to have the Christmas I wanted.
Yes, exactly. And if anybody's, hasn't given me the Christmas I wanted, they may show up as
Mhm.
inspiration for.
I love it so much. Is there any holiday that you would like to write about that you haven't had a chance to write about or incorporate in your story?
I think I did one a lot of times with the bigger, the single title books, like the wish list has a bonus novella in the back that I love doing those shorter stories.
Mhm.
And I think I got to write one that happened around Valentine's Day, but I haven't really done much around Valentine's Day. And I think not like sort of even the like stereotypical romance, wine and flowers. I just think Valentine's Day, there's so many like funny things or silly meet cutes that could happen that I'd like to do more of that.
I love that. I think that the readers in this room would agree with you on that one. So what can readers expect from you next?
So I have several things in coming out in 2023. I actually have a book releasing at the end of this month, which is coming. I say the end of this month, like we're not already halfway through the month, but next Tuesday, it's called A Fortune's Windfall, and it is the kickoff to, gosh, it might be the 27th year of the Fortunes of Texas. And that has been, I think I've done 7 of those now, and that's been a really fun project to be involved in, because if readers aren't familiar, they are mini series within certain series lines at Harlequin. And so there are 6 books. They come out, January through June. And we get, from the editors, we get sort of it's called a series Bible. So it kind of sketches out the series, but there are 6 different authors working on it. So, if one of my characters is somebody's brother in another book, you get to work with different authors, and it's kind of fresh because it's my story, but also their story. So that one comes out in January. And then in May, I have The Front Porch Club, which is the next book in the Carolina Girls series. And I'm super excited about that one, because it's going to be part of the launch, the rebrand of HQN is rebranding as Canary Street Press. And so it's going to be part of that, which is fun. And then a while ago, I had a special edition series set in Colorado called Crimson Colorado. And I kind of, took a break. I had 11 books in that series, took a break, and now I'm returning to Crimson with a book that will come out in September. And then I will be working on the next Carolina Girls holiday book, which is tentatively at this point titled, I hope it's the final, The Christmas Cabin. And it's going to be wintertime at the heroine is trying to save her beloved summer camp so it's like Dirty Dancing on the North Carolina coast.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I love it. Oh, great. All right. Well, before I turn this over to our readers, I'm going to transition into some just fun, fresh fiction facts. These are just questions that I'm going to ask you to answer them however you feel like. All right. What is your favorite genre to read?
Historical romance.
Cool. What is the genre that you never want to read again?
I would never read horror.
Fair. I don't like horror. I love horror shows and movies, but I do not like horror books too much.
I get scared too. I mean, I like any kind of suspense, I have to leave the room. So
what is your favorite time of day to write?
Anytime I'm alone in my house, but mostly mornings.
Cool. And what's your favorite time of day to read?
I always read before bed. If I can't fit it in at any other time, I always read before bed.
Awesome. And what do you read on? Are you an audio, physical? Do you have to have a Kindle?
Normally if I'm reading before bed, I read on my Kindle because my husband falls asleep, and so I can more easily put it under the covers and keep
Yeah. I love it. Same. Who was your first book boyfriend or girlfriend?
Gilbert Blythe from Anne of Green Gables.
Ah, great selection. What is your favorite writing fuel?
Anything chocolate.
Anything chocolate. Yum. What's one luxury item that you can't live without?
Oh gosh, luxury item. I don't know if it's a luxury item, but I always burn Bath and Body Works candles. So
I love it. Do you have a certain scent that you're burning right now?
yes, I'm burning 'Tis the Season right now. So
I love it. I have the apple hot toddy one going.
Oh,
It
nice.
smells like Thanksgiving right now. What are some romances that inspire you?
Books.
It can be books or couples or just sort of whatever you feel, but books would be great.
Yeah, books. Like I mentioned, I think my first inspiration, for sure, Julia Quinn and the whole Bridgerton series. I think anything, Nora Roberts, and she just, I think her books inspire me, but she inspires me as a person and what an advocate she is for romance. And pretty much, I think I can't even name all the people because anybody who's out there like doing it, and I love reading, if people are plotting or pantsing, any kind of author conversation I love.
Awesome. What is something that can pull you instantly out of a story, out of a book or a movie?
Um, it's characters that are cruel. Like I love an enemies to lovers story, but I think for me, there's a line, I don't know that I can define it, but when I read it, I know it, and I don't want cruelty.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Well, you mentioned that being a writer is your dream job, but if you couldn't be a writer, what would you do?
I would probably own it some sort of animal sanctuary.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, save all the animals. What is the best book that you've read recently?
I just finished what's the name of it? Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. And
What'd you think?
I really liked it. And I never read fan fiction. That wasn't, so I felt like I learned something too, but I really love that one.
I love it. Well, I can't let you go without us asking you a couple of Christmas questions.
Yeah.
So we'll get you started with just what our bonus question was, which is what is your favorite holiday beverage?
So I think it's going to be the sangria now going forward.
Right. Yum.
But I actually have a friend who makes homemade Bailey's Irish cream.
Oh.
And yeah, and I normally just drink my coffee black, and I'm not a super big alcohol drinker, but come Christmas, I will be putting that in my coffee, and it's for sure that's a luxury.
Yeah, that sounds delicious. Yum, yum, yum. What is your favorite holiday tradition?
The Christmas tree. I like to put my decorations up right around Thanksgiving, and I love decorating the Christmas tree because we every vacation we go on, I do ornaments, and I have the ornaments my kids made when they were kids, and some from my family, and so I just love all the stories of it. When you're it is a hodgepodge of just stuff on there, but that's how I like it.
I love it. A hodgepodge of memories.
Yes, exactly.
Let's see. What was the best gift that you ever got to give to somebody?
The best gift that I ever got to give to somebody on my husband's 40th birthday, I gave him a puppy.
Oh, that is a great gift. Did he want a
Yeah,
puppy?
and he sort of knew I mean, we had talked about it, but I was like, no puppy, I'm not doing a puppy. And so that dog is 10 years old now. So
Oh, sweet buddy. Is he a good writing companion? The
he is
dog?
a good writing companion, and he is so I recently I've had some back issues, and I have to be more I have to be more careful about where I write, but my favorite place to write, because I always get cold, is in bed. And
Mm-hmm.
Sam is a Weimaraner, and he is like a personal space heater. So he's a great writing buddy.
Yep, absolutely. I love that. What is your favorite holiday pop culture?
It movies. Like our favorite is Christmas Vacation, and we love Elf. And every year on Christmas we watch A Christmas Story and Fragile. And so I love all the movie pop culture.
I love it. All right. And then what is one thing about the holidays that you could live without?
The crowds go everywhere. So that makes me a little anxious. So I try to, do stuff early, or do stuff at, like, last night I was at Sam's Club at 7:45, and it was great because it was empty. So
Right.
I can't all
I love that. All right. So where can readers stay in touch with you and find out more about you?
So I am most active on Facebook and Instagram. And on Facebook, I am at Michelle Major Books, and Instagram, Michelle Major Author. And then my website as well. And if I do a newsletter once a month, unless there's something, really great, like a free book or some great promotion. And so and I also do exclusive giveaways for my newsletter subscribers. And if you do subscribe, you also get a free story along with that. So those are my best places. And I will just say, I'm going to pull it up. So this year we got a puppy. We lost a dog this fall. So on Facebook and Instagram, I write book stuff, but right now I'm doing a lot of puppy posts.
So much puppy content. Okay.
Yes.
Sold for me.
And I also foster kittens for a low. So it's like writerly stuff, and then kitten and dog posts.
That's exactly what I need in life. Yeah. That's the kind of content I'm here for. Well, Michelle, thank you so much. I'm going to turn this over to our readers to ask you some follow-up questions off record, but I really appreciate you joining us this evening, and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for having me.